Hello and welcome to this edition of Iron Sports, and I am Jermaine Brown. In this edition, we look at the massive effects of the coronavirus on sporting events in Jamaica, in particular, the cancellation of the prestigious Boys and Girls Championships. What are the ramifications? As usual, let us know what you think by heading to our Facebook page, Iron Sports JA. We take a break, but stick around. When we come back, we're going to be discussing all things Corona. Soon come. And welcome back to Iron Sports. For only the second time in the history of the ISA Boys and Girls Championships, the meet has been cancelled. This because of the threat of the COVID-19 coronavirus. Now, in what has been described as a major loss, we look at the aftermath, the ramifications for the cancellation on ISA, and of course, the wider sporting industry. Joining us now to look at this issue is President Keith Wellington, as well as Public Relations and Marketing Specialist Carol Beckford. Lady and gentlemen, welcome to Iron Sports.
Thank you very much.
A difficult time we are in with, of course, the coronavirus having such a massive effect on the island. Of course, sports being one of those industries immediately affected. Keith, let me bring you right in. How difficult was it to arrive at the decision to cancel Boys and Girls Championships, which of course is very popular and an event that everyone looks forward to?
I think that based on what we were presented with, the decision itself was not difficult. I think we have more difficulty with the implications of the decision, but I think what we needed to have done, we did it with comfort and confidence that it was the right decision.
Carol, do you think it was the right decision? Before we came on air, you had mentioned that you weren't in agreement with the initial decision to cancel right away. You found it a bit too quick. Expound on that a little bit for us.
No, when I first heard about the possibility of it being cancelled, I actually had a plan that would have spoken to an audience-free event that clearly laid out in terms of logistics.
Yeah, keeping it behind closed doors, pretty much.
So just the athletes, officials, just the people who were credentialed, and that ISA would have had a list and all that. So, but subsequently, as the news of the spread of the virus came up, I think the decision was right to have cancelled. I mean, even now with schools being closed, and the entire school population will be affected.
Yeah.
The health issues. And I would say that the health facilities and how the healthcare providers would have subsequently been able to manage or not manage would have been the clear decision on whether to have or not to have.
Yeah, Keith, was there any decision, any thought given to, at the meeting, the teleconference meeting that you had with the government officials, sponsors, was any thought given to having it behind closed doors?
No, not at that meeting, but we would have been going through the options available to us for over a week, and we would have examined what the options would have been based on the various circumstances. So by the time we got to that meeting, it was clear in our mind, and especially reinforced by the information that was shared with us by the government officials, that there was really no choice.
Of course, coaches and athletes, they've been left heartbroken. And a few coaches have pointed to the Class 1 athletes, for instance, who, and even some Class 2, who might be leaving champs this year. Their final year of champs some of them would have come back just to compete at champs, and also trying to get scholarships. Have you spoken to the coaches? Have you gotten any response from any of the athletes?
Well, I would have spoken to a few individual coaches, not the coaching group as a body, but I would have spoken with a few coaches, especially, well, I think Michael wouldn't mind me identifying Coach Dykoff, Edwin Allen, my own coach, and a couple other coaches, and they are understanding of the situation. They understand why that decision would have to be made, and they support the decision. I know a few principals would have already met with their athletes and their coaches. I met with my athletes this morning at 6 a.m. I spoke with a few other principals who either had met with their team or was in the process of meeting with their team. So I know we are trying to cushion the effect. But I think we have very good students generally right across the board, and they understand the implications. They are very, very disappointed, but they also understand what is happening. And if you look at what has happened in the school population too, today a number of students did not turn up for school.
Right.
The attendance rate for schools today fell dramatically.
Yeah.
So they understand the gravity
So
of
has school been postponed for 2 weeks? Has that helped you in any way in terms of arriving at your decisions a bit quicker now, seeing that school is out? So in terms of other sporting events that comes under ISSA's jurisdiction, cricket that's going on, and other sporting events that you would have had to possibly cancel as well with champs out. Does the closure of school help that?
Well, our assessment of the situation prior to today was that we, once the virus arrived, it would take some time for things to be normalized. So we took the decision that those junior competitions that had not yet started, we would cancel them for this school year. That would be under 14 competitions and under 16 cricket. And we said that for the competitions that are currently in progress, initially we said, let us go through today and see what happens. We took a decision this morning that we would postpone them after today. So cricket, Grey Shield and the Headley Cup, volleyball, basketball, girls and girls football, we have postponed it. Well, the games that are scheduled for today are being played or were played. And we have postponed the remainder of those competitions, and we will take a wait-and-see attitude to see what happens if we resume those.
Carol, quite a rippling effect, because outside of high school sports, even the semi-professional sports we have here in Jamaica, the Red Stripe Premier League, the PLCA, they've taken a decision to immediately suspend matches. A right move, you think?
Oh, absolutely. Netball Jamaica, I think, has joined. Also, there was to be an International Volleyball Club Championships, the Venus Invitational. That's also off. The thing is, the public health threat is really what the issue is. And so beyond the disappointment, which I initially expressed that opinion about having it behind closed doors, is that there is now a serious public threat. Even in the NBA, that some of the players.
Right.
And when the Kobe incident came up with the Utah Jazz, and when you now see the lines of people and teams that he would have interacted with,
Right.
they had like 6 matches
and one of his
within the
teammates
space
has
time,
tested.
and now Donovan McLean has now been tested positive. So that kind of thing, and based on how the virus is spread and the implications for it, that in itself, the public threat to health is the major issue. So it doesn't matter what kind of gathering that you're going to have. That is in fact, and I think that postponements, as Mr. Wellington said, postponements, cancellation for things that haven't started. The NFL, for example, even in its pre-season situation, they have curtailed the actions of all those camps.
We see what's happening internationally, and it begs the question, is it more, how frightening is this situation, and is there a bit of fear-mongering going on too?
No. All right. So we go back to the public threat, the public health threat. That is the issue. So it doesn't matter what you are. The entertainment industry is grossly affected. When you have things like Coachella, South by Southwest, there's a massive technology session that was going to be held. I think it's called Collision.
Right.
They decided, a week and a half ago, that they were going to have the 15,000 people join online. They were going to test their technological capabilities.
Right.
So there were already people putting in place, because remember, you're flying from various gateways that would have either had the direct threat or even the case of imported, as we have with the UK. What I'm shocked about is that up to the point of now, there hasn't been a travel ban that's been to the UK. Right. And those are where the imported cases are all coming from. Well, so that in itself, so the football competitions are being held within. I think by the end of tomorrow, that they will have closed off pretty much everything.
Well, we don't want to preempt anything here on Iron Sports in terms of the travel bans and so on. But so Wellington, you are also principal of STETS.
Yes.
And you would have had to announce, or your staff would have announced, that there's no school tomorrow, no school for the next 2 weeks. Give us the kind of atmosphere that's at STETS now and other high schools.
Well, I think that the reaction would vary. But generally speaking, students always are happy to have an extra few days at home. But this time it's critical, especially for our senior students, the grade 11s and the sixth form students, because
they have exams.
they would have exams in a few weeks. They would have internal assessment and SBAs to submit. And so I think they are a little bit more pensive, and they are wanting to find out, you know, how is this going to affect their examinations.
Hold that point, because we're going to come back after the break and pick up on that, because that's part of the ramifications that are to come, because following the cancellation of champs and also the postponement of school for the next 2 weeks. So we'll take a break here on Iron Sports and come back.